So today we want to have a look at 5 tips for when you want to just start your business and make your first dollar online. I have these 5 tips lined up for you. Why do they matter and why it's specifically for your first dollar online? Because the big difference is between starting and scaling. And that's something that gets me quite upset if I watch a lot of YouTube videos, because so many YouTube videos talk about scaling a business but not starting a business. Let me explain the slight difference, because the focus is a complete opposite. If you scale a business, you do either more of something or you do better of something. The problem is, if you're starting out, you don't even know what's good yet, and so what you need to do more of, or what's not good enough to do better at. And so you don't even know what problem you should be improving on, because you don't even have the first problem figured out. And that's, what are you going to sell actually? And so here are my 5 tips that I learned through a lot of pain, and that I think are going to be helpful towards your journey to make your first buck. The first tip I have for you is work your way back. This means start with the end goal in mind. So that's actually where this number in the back here comes from, because this is my timeline I have to make my money that I need to provide for my family, or at least that's my goal that I set myself. So let's just say you want $10,000 in 200 days. I think 200 days is a comfortable position to be at for 10 grand, because the first 100 days you just focus on getting the right product together, and then figure out what solution you want to build, what problem you're solving, what channels you're actually playing at, how you market it, how you deliver it, and all those things you figure out in the first 100 days. Second 100 days is then actual doubling down on what kind of worked and figuring out more issues. But start with your end goal in mind. So set a goal of in 200 days, I want to have 10 grand. Then figure out what's actually the best route to get you there. Because there are many routes you can take, and I'll come back to that later, the different routes you have. But pick something, stick with it for 200 days, and look to make those 10 grand. Why do I say a fixed amount of money? The 10 grand is not that important, I guess. It's important to have a number at the end, but what I don't want you to do right now is monthly returning revenue. The holy grail that many talk about, the monthly recurring revenue, is what is actually repeated income every month. I don't want you to focus on that at first, because you don't even have money coming in. So how can you make something sustainable that you don't even have? And I think those are a few tips that are really important, because many people are missing out on that starting their business. Second tip, 1-1-1 method. Focus on solving real problems for real people. I can't emphasize that enough, and so I try to capitalize the real, because that's what you need to focus on. This is here, the one person, one problem, one solution. This is what your product should be. And I think the big challenge in that is that we love to be all over the place, and that we love to be oh yeah, I can help that, I can help that, I can fix that, I can offer that. Or we start with the solution in mind, and then we try to find the problem. But that's the wrong direction. You're going a one-way street, and you're trying to enter the wrong way. That's not how it's done. And so you need to start with people, find one person that you really love to work with, then try and understand them. What's the biggest pain point they have that you can also solve? Because that's the second thing, is it doesn't matter if you have the best problem, but you can't offer the solution. So that's why you need to have all 3. One person, one problem that you can actually solve and offer one solution for. That's important. I've done that quite wrong a few times, and so that's why I paid pretty much 50 grand over the last like 5 years to learn those lessons, and that's got me here. So yeah, just focus on 111 and you'll be better off than me if I and yeah, I think that will get you faster. The third tip is start small and scale later. That goes back to the beginning, what I said earlier, with so much advice is given to people to scale their business, which I fully get, because it's easier to give advice to people that already know what they're doing, because then it doesn't even matter how good your advice is, because if it's like, oh yeah, you helped me a little bit, it's good. Like, you get appreciated for that. If you help them big time because your advice was really helpful, you actually helped a lot, and so they're willing to spend a lot of money with you. And so it's difficult in the beginning because there's so many different things that can work, that will work, but it's a lot of the person, like me as a founder or you as a founder. That's most of the time the issue in the beginning, because we start wrong, we start messy. Like, it's tough to give advice when it's just the messy stage. And I think that's fine, because it's important that we go through that messy stage. And that's what I meant earlier with, if you start right with the real problems that you solve, you have already a bit more of a clear direction, but it's still, I guess, vague to you. But like, if it's too vague, then just comment underneath and I'll like make a dedicated video about that. So what do we need to do instead of scaling our business or dreaming big? We need to build one micro product for one problem. And the interesting thing with that is, most people that you listen to online on YouTube, they started exactly that way. They started off with one micro product. Most of them did like a digital product, like a little like ebook or something. While I don't think ebooks work as easily anymore, but like similar micro products. And they just sold that at the beginning, and then they solved more issues of the same customer. And that's how they grew their businesses and figured out what problem actually is worth a lot more when they were on the road. So just get on the road with a micro product, and then you can figure it out later. I think the part that also stuck with me the most is always trying to find the next unicorn, where we're like a little bootstrapped solopreneur, like dadpreneur business, and we're trying to build a unicorn. Let me just tell you right now, it's not gonna happen. At least not in the next few years that you'll be able to do that. And that's just the truth. I've tried a lot. I've talked with investors. I've like tried to figure out ways to build it big. But everybody wants to see traction. Everybody wants to see some numbers. And so just start with a micro product and then continue to grow it later on. That's saving you a lot of headache, a lot of time, and a lot of effort too, that you don't need to hustle in the wrong direction, because nothing is worse than running 10 miles or 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. That's like the worst direction you want to be. So don't chase the unicorn, start with the mouse. So that's why here is my little mouse. I'm trying to get better at painting. I hope you like maybe see that over the next videos. But so the mouse and the rocket. Don't chase the rocket if you don't have the mouse. The fourth tip, yeah, we're already at the fourth tip, is don't follow the shiny. I know that we all fall for the shiny object syndrome, or shiny objects. That's why we have the gold like bucket. You always think of, oh yeah, there's a rainbow, let's find the treasure underneath it. And so you're off to a new chase, but you don't know the region, you don't know the map, you don't know the skills, you just don't know anything about it. You just feel like, oh, there's a rainbow, something must be there. And so you go chasing it. And truth is, there will always be new opportunities, no matter what. Because every crisis comes with new problems. Every situation is solving one problem to open up another one. So there is always something for us to do. Period. The question is it actually worth your time to chase that? And that's going back to the 1-1-1 method. Just focus on one thing, get your plan together. Don't like try to be shiny and try to like jump on the new hype, because usually that is a hype from people that have done it for years and that all of a sudden blow up. So better like stick with your one thing, write it out, build it out, grind it, and then once something blows up, you're like, okay, so here, I've been waiting for that. So you can be on it, but you don't need to start building once it comes up. You already built it when it starts. And so you actually gain the momentum or take the momentum on your side, and you don't try to chase after everybody else's solution. So the fifth tip so far is stick with your plan. I know that, especially saying that after the shiny object things, is you need your own map. And so this is your roadmap that nobody else can actually copy from you, because nobody else is solving the same problem for the same person in the same way that you can, because there's personality involved. And that's why I'm also careful with AI tools to a certain extent, because AI tools can't show personality because they lack personality and realness. And so you need to, I need to speak to real people, and that's a conversation that is not going to happen exactly the same again. Sure, there are like some other competitors, but the competitors aren't exactly like you. So you have an advantage, you have differences, and use those. So just put your plan together, act on it, follow through, because execution always wins. And the interesting thing with that is, no matter how good you think your idea is, an idea is never valuable because the execution is creating the value. Because thinking of a problem is not solving the problem. Having a solution in mind is not actually solving the problem. And so by solving problems, you create value, and that's only done with execution. And so execute the plan that you created and then stick with it. And then that should be it. And that's the way you can get to 10 grand in 200 days pretty easily and pretty consistently, I would say. If you need help with that, please just reach out to me. I would love to chat with you and figure out your plan. I am currently working on a system to actually systematize the first 100 days of building your product to get in 200 days to 10K. So yeah, if you want to get to know more about that, just click the subscribe button, and then you'll see more of me in the future.